I am Ethan Quant, founder and CEO of Lifestyles Digital Media Group. We are the #1 film and production company specializing in corporate content in the Caribbean and the fastest growing in the world. We work with 7, 8, and 9-figure businesses and brands to help them tell their brand story so that they can really connect with their audiences, so that they can engage with their audiences, and so that they can expand their reach. And so, just by show of hands, how many people in the room have a personal brand? Okay, that was a trick question. Everybody in the room has a personal brand, okay? The reality is that your brand is being built whether or not you're intentional about it. And so it isn't if you have a personal brand, it's are you intentional about building your personal brand, all right? I want everybody pull out your phones right quick, scan that code. Some very important information is there. Let me know when you got it. Now, I believe that where there is no clarity, there is confusion. So for the purpose of this conversation, I want to define brand, because that is a word that I'm going to be using throughout the presentation. Anybody wants to give a stab as to what a brand is? What is brand? Just shout it out. Awesome, thank you very much. You are absolutely incorrect. Your brand is simply your reputation, okay? It is your credibility statement. We hear brands so much, especially nowadays with social media and everything moving online. And I actually have senior executives, I have personal branding clients who are professionals, who are not entrepreneurs, who came to me wondering why they should invest building their brand. But as a professional, some reasons why you want to build your brand is because it builds credibility. You're wanting to position yourself as an authority in the space. Maybe you want to become more marketable, to be able to take advantage of other employment opportunities that may become available. All of these things are reasons as to why you as compliance professionals may want to build your brand. But remember now, brand equals reputation. Now, we know that compliance equals trust. Is that a correct and accurate statement? Just shout it out, yes or no? Yes? All right, that's a fair statement that compliance equals trust. And so, if compliance equals trust, what is trust? Trust equals visibility and authenticity, okay? Now, like I said, I don't want there to be any confusion. So what is visibility? Visibility is the intentional act of putting your identity, expertise, values, and story in the front of the right audience, often and clearly enough that you become memorable, trusted, and top of mind, okay? And so when we're talking about visibility, it isn't just showing up everywhere. A key word there, because it's in yellow, is intentional. So you want to be intentional about putting your identity, your expertise, because I'm sure that we are all professionals and experts in the area of compliance, your values and your story in front of the right audience, not just anybody. And in this case, for you all, as compliance professionals, the right audience could be your stakeholders. And what I'm sharing today is applicable across all 3 categories: organizational, departmental, and individual. So as an organization, maybe you're a regulator, you want to make sure that you're putting your story in front of the right people, the industry that you regulate. As a department, the compliance department, you want to make sure that your message is landing with the right audience, the other persons within the organization. And as an individual, you want to make sure that your story is being told to the right audience. That could be the market, that could be, like I said, other employment opportunities. And so visibility, showing up, is consistency, showing up regularly. People can't trust what they don't see. Is that a fair and true statement? Clarity. Your content messaging and presence tell one unified story about who you are and what you do. Relevance, you're visible in front of the audience that actually needs to hear what you're saying. Presence, you show up confidently and authentically, whether in person, on video, on stage, or online. Now, this is who I am. Now, I was asked by the Baco people, I have a tendency to drop a few heavy words sometimes, but I ain't gonna drop them today. And engagement, visibility isn't a monologue. It's conversations, comments, connections, and community. Okay? So we're clear on what visibility is, correct? Y'all following? Okay. If at any point in time y'all want me to go back over something, even though I don't think y'all can do that, feel free to mention it, okay? Now, the second part about building trust is authenticity. Authenticity is the alignment between who you say you are and who you actually are. This is in values and behavior and intention. It's showing up as your true self without pretense or performance, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. Now, compliance officers, compliance professionals in the room, are y'all authentically y'all? Y'all compliant in other areas of your life too? Try to be. I appreciate that. That's honesty. That's part of authenticity, you being honest. I appreciate that. Now, how does this look? This means that you speak from personal experience, not from what's trending. You don't say things just because they sound nice. You say things based on your personal experience. Now, your personal experience could also be your professional experience. You lead with honesty and self-awareness. Now, this is a big thing, because as compliance professionals, honesty and integrity is fundamental to the profession, correct? Now, I would say that I am the least compliance qualified person in this room. But one thing I am an expert in is how to get my client's message in the front of the right audience so that it engages them and actually causes them to do action. Now, the next thing is that you act consistently with your principles whether people are watching or not. Now, we have the saying in our industry, which is media and content creation, that people are always doing it for the gram. You want to do it for the gram. My thing is, when you're showing up and acting consistently with your principles, whether people are watching or not, whether it's for the gram or not, you're going to show up the same. All right? Y'all still with me? All right. Am I making sense? Are y'all getting value? All right. I appreciate that. Now, this is what we're talking about today. So now that we've gotten the definitions out, everybody knows what we're doing. This is what we're going to be talking about. What is the goal? The goal for me today is to help you move from policy enforcer to culture influencer. Okay? Was that slide on the screen yet? Wow, there you go. Oh, it's like magic. The goal is to move from policy enforcer to culture influencer. Authority comes from your role. Influence comes from your reputation. And because we're all learned people, reputation is the same as what? Brand. Go to the front of the class. That's why she's sitting up front. She knows her stuff. Now that we know the goal, let's talk about how. How do we go from policy enforcer to culture influencer? We do that by creating content. Hashtag everything is content. Everything is content. Now, there are two types of content that you can create, and all content falls into one of these two categories. The first one is creating content. Now, creating content is intentional, it's pre-planned, it's designed around a specific message, goal, or campaign. Okay? The purpose is to influence perception, educate, inspire, entertain, or sell with clarity. All right, some examples of content that you create, maybe you're going to roll out a new policy within the organization, some new requirements from the regulators. You need the people within the organization to do new things. These are 5 new updates to whatever that policy is. All right, that is creating content. Or maybe you are a seasoned compliance professional and you have younger compliance professionals coming in and saying, hey, you know what, I want you to mentor me. I want to know what it's like to be in the compliance industry in the Bahamas. And so you decide to create content saying, these are 3 things that I learned over 20 years of being a compliance officer here in the Bahamas. Okay, so that is creating content. Now, the other type of content is documenting content. Documenting content is capturing what you're already doing in real time, your process, your journey, behind the scenes moments. The purpose is to build connection, showing authenticity, growth, and relatability. Okay? What does that look like? That could be, I'm a new compliance professional, I'm a young compliance professional joining the industry. And so even though I cannot position myself as an expert, I will share my journey of becoming an expert in the industry. That makes sense? And so when we talk about authenticity in content, if you're not an expert, you can't speak as an expert. If you don't have 20, 30, 40 years of experience, you can't speak as if you have 20, 30 years of experience. But that does not mean that you cannot continue to build your brand with content. Because you can document your journey. You can say, hey, hi, my name is Ethan Quant. I recently got into compliance. Ethan, why did you get into compliance? I think it's amazing. I get to tell people what to do. That's what y'all do in compliance, right? Tell people what to do. But this is my journey. This is me sharing my journey. Behind the scenes things, it could be as simple as a vlog. It could be a day in the life. It could be I'm preparing for my, what is the standardized compliance exam? Somebody? ICA? All right, so watch me as I study for my ICA. And they're on this journey with you, they be in the audience. And so this is how you go from policy enforcer to culture influencer. You share your story, but you want to be authentic. You want to be truthful as to what the story is. Now, when we talk about content and how you share your story, there are 4 main mediums, right, that you can use, 4 main types of content. Anybody want to take a stab as to what they are? Just shout it out. Short form? Well, that is a form of content, that's correct. Top of the class. I appreciate you, Crystal. Crystal is sitting next to me at the table. She came and said, hi, my name is Crystal. I said, amazing, my name is Ethan, nice to meet you. All right. Content is, you have video. This is a type of content. Video is your most powerful visibility tool. This includes short form, things like Reels, TikTok. I know all y'all on TikTok because I see some of y'all on TikTok. I follow some of y'all on TikTok. This includes long form content, things like YouTube, interviews, talking heads, documentaries, behind the scenes, vlogs, and live streams. The next medium is photo. So photo is high impact visuals that reinforce identity and professionalism. Case in point, we have our headshot booth that, any of y'all got your headshots done yet? Right, so that is a form of content. This includes lifestyle photos, see online right there in the presentation, headshots, product shots, event photos, behind the scenes, branded imagery. The next form is written. Everything that communicates your voice without being on camera. This includes things like captions, vlogs, emails, scripts, newsletters, website copy, thought, leadership posts, SOPs, and articles. All right? And then the 4th one is audio. Pure thought leadership without the visual distraction. So think voiceovers, think podcasts, audiograms, interviews, audio notes, guided content. Now, being in the business that I'm in, while all of these are effective in certain platforms, I believe that the king of content is video because it employs literally all 4 of those. It employs visual imagery, Because all video is a bunch of photos back to back to back being played very fast. It employs written, especially if you're scripting the content before you film it. And of course, it involves audio because you have to listen. Now, for me, I'm actually doing a bit of creating content and documenting content right now. Ivania, just wave your hands right there, please. Ivania is capturing me in real time. This is my vlog. All y'all gonna be on my YouTube channel next week, by the way. But this is me documenting my process of how I'm going to get professionals in corporate to embrace their personal brand and to really be intentional about building their personal brand. So legit, this is going on my YouTube channel. But this is also me demonstrating my authority in the space because I am a brand expert. I told y'all when I got up here, I work with 7, 8, and 9-figure businesses and brands. So I know what it is that I'm talking about. And so this is me demonstrating my authority because I'm on this beautiful stage in front of this beautiful crowd sharing my expertise. So I am doing both, documenting and creating. And you too can do the same. Okay? Now, once we have all this content, regardless of whether or not it's video, photo, audio, or written, the framework that we use to really disperse this content into the market, this is how we build trust. It's called the 7-11-4. And I would love to say that I came up with this myself, but I ain't that sharp. An amazing mentor of mine, Daniel Priestley, came up with this framework, but it pretty much stands for 7 hours, 11 interactions, 4 platforms. And this is what he says based on scientific evidence that it takes for people, aka the market, aka your audience, to truly know, like, and trust you. Remember, we're trying to build trust, right? Because compliance equals what? Trust. Because on tight. Somebody sneezed. Now, what does 7 hours look like? One of the things is that when we're talking about building your brand, right? The question I ask clients all the time is, do you have enough content that if somebody wanted to consume your content for 24 hours, you have produced enough content on brand that they can consume for 24 hours? And oftentimes it's no, because there isn't that much intentionality. If you go on their Instagram, it's them, it's what they had for lunch, it's who they went to drinks with, it's their puppy or their cat or their kids, but maybe very little is about them as a compliance professional, right? And so if the goal is to establish yourself as an authority in the compliance space as an expert or just as an emerging authority, can somebody consume 24 hours of that content that's on brand? And so studies show that it takes people 7 hours, and that's across whatever platform. That could be if you write an article for LinkedIn, that could be you have a radio interview or radio interviews. That could be you have a carousel post on LinkedIn, and that could be video on YouTube, Instagram. But do you have 7 hours of content? Because that's the minimum. Now, 11 interactions could be post engagement. So you post this content, somebody comments, oh, wow, I didn't know that that was a thing. Okay, and you reply to that comment. Or it could be they got your newsletter. If you're talking about as a compliance professional within the organization, maybe you communicated with them via the company email, and they got that, right? But it's 11 interactions, 11 types of touch points. That could also be in person, right? Some of you follow me on Instagram, and now this, because I've seen you today, is another touch point. And 4 platforms. Now, platforms here, specifically, we're talking about social media and online platforms. So that could be Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn. That could also be your email list. Now, platforms can also be, maybe you have a weekly meeting that you go to as a compliance professional, or you have a weekly meeting within your organization and you sit at the table with other senior executives within the organization. But it's 4 different platforms. You tracking? You're following, right? Am I making sense? Okay. Am I adding value? Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now, to go a little bit deep, right? 7 hours equals visibility. Create opportunities for people to learn from you, not just hear from you. All of my team members know that my goal is to add value in every single relationship I'm with, whether that's with my lovely wife, my amazing daughter, my awesome team, or you all. My goal is to add value. So I don't want you to just hear me up here talking. I really want you all to learn something today. And I can test that because there's a quiz after. No, I just joking. Ain't no quiz. Now, the good thing about you guys and your profession is that the information that you typically have, like for the first part before lunch, I ain't gonna lie, I didn't understand half of the things some people was talking about. But you all did, because I heard people nodding. I saw people nodding. I saw people taking pictures and making notes. And y'all have a lot of acronyms and stuff in compliance, a lot of letters. But what you can do is that you can take that complex information and kind of realistically dumb it down for people like me. You can simplify it, because I can tell you this. Most people who aren't in compliance don't know compliance jargon. And that's most people. Is compliance the largest department in your organization? All right. It's probably like one of the smallest, right? It's like about 2 or 3 of y'all, if that. Right? You always have to get together on the weekend with your other compliance buddies and talk about the stresses that y'all have as compliance officers, because nobody else in your organization can really understand and appreciate that. I talking sense or no? No? And so y'all have the ability to really break down complex policies. Y'all can share real stories or examples, case studies. Y'all can host all sorts of knowledge sharing sessions. And of course, you can record videos and write insights. So y'all have the knowledge base. Y'all have the expertise that y'all can share with everybody. And I'm sure, even if you just write out what y'all studying for, and what the exam is, the ITC? ICA? Oh, I only get 1 of the 3 letters, right? ICA. Even if y'all just write out everything y'all need to do to pass that exam, I'm sure that could equal 7 hours of visibility. Now, when we talk about the 4 platforms, this is really what you want to do to build authority. So you want to be seen consistently across all 4 of the touch points. The examples that I gave before, LinkedIn, you want to share thought leadership. LinkedIn is a great platform for people who don't necessarily want to be on camera, but who could write. Who could write. If you can write an article, like LinkedIn is your jam. Okay, I guarantee you. Another thing is internal channels. Like I said, especially if you're with a large organization, 100, 200 people plus, you want to be able to tap into your internal communication channels. Okay, that's the intranet. When I was at the bank, I used to be at the bank as a former life. I see some of my old bank colleagues here, but that was a long time ago. But we used to have the intranet. This is like the internal email system, so you could send to all, and everybody within the organization can get that thing. So that is a powerful tool, and guess what? That is also a platform that you can utilize to establish yourself and build trust within your organization. Okay? Next thing is Instagram. Instagram is like my favorite platform because I can, one, I was an 80s baby, so like I kind of grew up with Instagram. I remember when the internet came to the Bahamas in '95. Any of y'all is 80s babies in here? See, I know. Y'all remember when the internet came to the Bahamas? Anyway, Instagram is my favorite platform. I'm on TikTok, but I ain't on TikTok, if that kind of makes sense. But YouTube is by far the most effective platform if you want to establish yourself as an authority, regardless of the space. And I love YouTube because it allows you to do long-form content. Okay? And so those are the 4 platforms. The 11 touch points equals relationships. Like I said, you want to not just put the content out there, but you want the people to really, really interact with you. So follow up after meetings, recognize ethical behavior, engage with comments, and celebrate small compliance wins. Trust equals consistency, visibility, and value. The more consistent you are, the more visible you become. The more visible you are, the more value you can deliver. Okay? And so remember, policies protect systems, people protect culture. Your role as compliance officers who are intentional about building your brand is to bridge both. Okay? Now, quickly, 4 steps to start building your brand. Define what you want to be known for. Identify your 7-11-4 opportunities. Create consistent content. And measure engagement through conversations, not likes. How to implement this? Clarify your message. Build a habit of posting. Stay consistent for 90 days. Assess. And then do more of what works. That's it. Notice I didn't say post 3 times a day. I said assess and then do more of what works. All right? And last thing, go beyond the policy, build the trust, lead the culture. Trust isn't given, it's earned through visibility, authenticity, and consistency. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and attention.